We will be sharing this to the American River College YouTube channel. So if you don't catch everything in this go through, you can definitely check our ARC YouTube channel to watch this video as well as many other videos to help you get your start at ARC or applying to ARC. We are very excited to be joined by our special guest, Raina Moore, who is a counselor and the coordinator of the Advanced Education Workshop. So she will be leading us through today's workshop. In addition to that, we have a couple of other staff members from ARC. We are asking that you use the chat box for questions. So throughout the workshop, if you have any questions, please feel free to type those into the chat box. You can type it to everyone so people can see it. If it's something that you want to ask individually, Debbie is in there and Jerry. So you'll see both of their names and you can ask them individual questions and they will be responding to your questions throughout the presentation. We will have a little bit of time at the end for additional Q&A, but please don't forget those. Start using the chat box right away. With that, I'm excited to turn it over to Raina and Debbie to tell you all about how you can get started at ARC as an advanced education student. Thank you for joining us today and welcome, Raina.
Hello, everyone. I'm seeing lots of familiar names pop up in the group chat, so welcome. And again, my name is Raina, and Debbie and Jerry are in the chat room so they can reply to any chat questions. And anyone, feel free to stop me if you have any immediate questions, or Debbie, feel free to chime in here at any time. I'm going to just start going through our slides. All right, so why advanced education? Advanced education is a great opportunity for high school students to earn college credits. So if they complete a class that they take with a C or better, they get those college credits, definitely. So there's no test at the end of the course like there are for AP and IB tests. So usually what I hear from students is that's the benefit. You take the class and you've got the credits. No worry about a big test at the end. Another is free tuition. You know, it's a free program, which is even, you know, another benefit. So when we say free, that is the $46 per unit. Students are still responsible to pay the UTP fee, which is a sliding scale, and they also pay the student representation fee. So usually it's no more than about $15 a semester for those types of fees for advanced ed students. Students are also responsible for their class books and materials. So those can sometimes be expensive, but one of the good things we're seeing now with all of the online classes is online textbooks, free textbooks. So I usually advise students to take a look at the class materials required before they enroll in a course so that they can see an estimate of what they're going to have to pay for the class materials. And then the last bullet, there's just long-term financial savings on college and early preparation for college. We're seeing advanced ed students, some are taking 2 classes every semester. If they start in the 10th grade, that's 24 units. You know, they're getting almost a full year of college under their belt with advanced ed, and some more than that because they take summer school as well. So just long-term financial savings. I could save them, you know, $12,000 to $20,000 a year of tuition at a university. So what are the requirements? For advanced ed, we're looking for students to be at least 16 years old or have completed the 10th grade. The student must have an overall GPA of at least a 2.7, and we're looking at their cumulative GPA. For students who want to take a math or English course, we also have to send their high school transcripts to our placement office, and they have to place into those courses. For most other courses, if there's no prerequisite, then they just have to meet the first 2 bullets. So here is an overview of the process, and I'm going to go over each one of these in a little more detail. But students can complete the application, which right now is all done electronically with the high school counselor sent to the college counselor. They submit that to the advanceded@arc.los email address. We send them a confirmation email saying you've been approved, or let them know what they're missing, or that they've been denied if they're denied for some reason. And then the last step is enroll in classes. And that is a piece that we're going to talk about today because that's changed with us working remotely. So the first step, completing the advanced ed application. Students must submit all parts of the application, which has shrunk, thank goodness. So all we're looking for in that application now is the actual advanced ed Los Rios application. It needs to be, of course, completed by the parent. Student needs to sign it, and their high school designee needs to sign it before it comes to us. And then they need to include their high school transcript, because again, that's how we check to make sure they've got their 2.7 and have completed the 10th grade, or will be completing the 10th grade by the time they enroll in the course. And then we need a copy of their high school schedule. So that's not required for summer, but for fall and spring, we do want to see what they're also going to be enrolled in at the high school when they're taking their college courses. And I know that's right now a bit of an issue. We're going to start accepting the fall applications in June, and some of the high schools don't have the schedules available for fall. So we're going to be, flexible. I was saying we're going to be flexible with the high school class schedule because those haven't come out for some high schools. They're still planning classes for fall. But if the high school counselor could just send us potential high school classes for fall, that would work. We just need to have something on file. And then I was also, the last bullet, continuing students need at least a 2.0 college GPA. So if they don't send us a copy of their transcript, we just go in and check it to make sure that they have at least a C average in any college courses they've attempted in the past. All right, so next step would be packet submission. So like I said, it's just really at this point, at least for summer, it's just the application and transcript that we're looking for. In fall, we'll include that high school schedule. So 2 or 3 documents is all the packet is made up of now. And I have a strike through or drop off the packet because we're all working remotely. So all documents have to be emailed to the advanced ed email address. And we would like for you to scan and upload documents as possible as PDFs. I know sometimes we're getting images of pictures, and those are really hard for us to sign off on and send legible copies to the admissions office. So if at all possible, please send those as PDFs. And then we will send an email notification. So it's mostly Debbie and I working on all these applications. We go through, we approve them. Sometimes they're pending, waiting on a placement score.
I think her video froze again, sadly. I know that she was talking about this email notification. Not sure if Debbie, if you can speak to some of these things until Rain is able to join us back.
Oh, okay. I was just responding to a student, so I'm not exactly sure where she was in this. But after the student's application has been reviewed, and they may find that, oops, the slide's gone. They'll get an email. It will either be an approval email stating that they are approved for the class. Sometimes a student may not meet the prerequisite yet, so the prerequisites are always required. So there's an approval email, there's a missing document email. So if the student, for example, turned in the application but didn't turn in the transcript, they'd receive a missing document email from us. When we receive that document, then it's reviewed, attached to the other documents, and then they receive, hopefully, the approved email. There's also a denial email, and that would be, for example, if a student is underage, the requirement is 16 years old or past the 10th grade, or it could be that the GPA is below 2.7, and that would be a deny with opportunity to appeal. And the appeal would go through our dean, the counseling dean. Contact information is included, and we strongly encourage the students to make that contact and appeal and speak to the dean. Right now it's telephone conversation. I think I caught everything on that slide.
Thank you, Debbie. Raina joined us back. So Debbie was just kind of covering while you're, I know that your video, it seemed like it had to restart, but if you would like to reshare your presentation, and luckily that's great. As far as we have you and Debbie, so we're making sure that we're keeping on going.
Thank you, Debbie.
You're welcome.
All right, so where were we?
The email notification slide.
Okay, yes, so students will receive one of the 4 email notifications. We talked about the approval, missing a document, so if they're missing something, we ask them to submit that. A denial with a recommendation to appeal, so those are those cases where, you know, we have a 2.4 GPA, you just want to try one course in college, we send those to our dean, and the student has to follow up with the dean for approval. And then there are some that we just deny that we don't necessarily feel like would be good appeal options. If the student wants to take, you know, a course that has a prerequisite, for instance, that they don't meet the prerequisite for, there's not a lot that we can do for advanced ed students in those cases. So we'll send the denial email. And all confirmation emails right now are being sent to the student's Los Rios Gmail account. If they've typed in a legible email address on their application, we also send it to that email address. We try to send it to both each time. But definitely the Gmail, because sometimes the ones written on the applications are tough for us to read and end up getting kicked back to us. But we know that the Los Rios Gmail email is correct. So we always send it there. Enrollment information. So once we improve the application, so here's where the process is changing while we're working remotely, and we're actually still kind of working through some kinks here. But once we approve the application, we send the approval confirmation email. It has a link to an orientation. It has information about what's going to happen next. We let students know that we're going to forward their approved application to Enrollment Services. And Enrollment Services then enrolls the student in whichever courses are listed on their Advanced Ed app. They go through the list and enroll them in the first ones that are available that are open. If none are open, they go through and enroll them in the first ones that are waitlist available. So some of the issues that we've been seeing in this first week of working remotely, getting students enrolled, is the students need to have a current ARC application on file. So we're seeing some students who haven't done an updated app for summer enrollment. And so Enrollment Services is kicking those back, saying we can't enroll them because they're not active at ARC for the summer semester. They need to have selected a major. That's another new issue. We can't enroll students until they have a selected major. It's another hold that'll pop up on their e-services. So we send those to Enrollment Services, and sometimes if the student hasn't selected a major, they're unable to enroll them. We tell the students in the confirmation email that they need to check their e-services to verify enrollment within about 4 to 5 days of receiving the confirmation email. And that's just to make sure that they're okay with the classes they were enrolled in, because they're not enrolling themselves anymore. The staff in Enrollment Services is, like I said, doing their best to go through their checklist and enroll them, but we want to make sure that the students are happy with what courses they ended up with. Another issue we're seeing, like we started accepting applications for summer in April, the end of April, but we couldn't actually enroll them until their enrollment date, which was May 6th. So students, you know, have been emailing us prior to May 6th saying, why am I not enrolled in my classes yet? So we have to keep in mind that students can't enroll until the Advanced Ed enrollment date. For fall, that date is going to be June 25th. So even though we start accepting applications June 1st, we have to hold on to those apps until their enrollment date, which is after all of our other continuing students enroll. So the course could fill up between the time they submit their application and the time that we can actually enroll them. So they may need to submit another application to request new courses, or maybe just wait until closer to their enrollment date to submit an application. And another question that we keep getting is, how do I get this hold off of my account? So all Advanced Ed students are going to have a hold in their e-services account, and that remains on their account even when they were enrolling themselves. That's just an indicator in our system, and it prevents them from having to pay the tuition fees. So the hold is good, the hold stays there, and that's why they have to go through this application process so that we can enroll them in their courses. But please let the students know if the hold is going to remain on their account. Some reminders. Students must have the application completed and approved prior to the start of the semester. So once the semester starts and the class has started, we no longer accept advanced education applications to add courses. We do accept them for late start classes. So like in fall, there are some classes that start in August, 16-week courses. We need to have those applications prior to the start of the semester. But there are also second 8-week classes that start in October. So students can still submit applications up through the October deadline for those second 8-week classes. Please only recommend courses that are level appropriate. So we want students to check the prerequisites. I have an example up of economics. So they need Algebra 1 to go into an economics class. So we just want to make sure we're double checking those prerequisites before we put the courses on the Advanced Ed app. Please check that little box to let us know if you want the student to take 1 or 2 courses. This is especially important now that Enrollment Services is enrolling the students. If it's 1 box, they're going to choose 1 course from the list. If it's 2 boxes, they're going to choose the first 2 courses on that list. If no box is selected, then we just assume 1 course. We don't want to over-enroll the student if we're not sure how many classes they're supposed to take. There are 6 spaces on the Advanced Ed application, so we recommend listing multiple course options. So if this course is closed, then we want this one or this one or this one. So that way you don't have to send in so many updated applications. We can just go through and see which course is still open at the time we're enrolling the students. Also, you can list multiple sections for each course. So if it's Psych 300 and they just want Psych 300, you can at least put several different sections of that Psych 300. So again, we have lots of options if the first section is full. Students can enroll in a maximum of 2 courses per semester in the district. So now more than ever, we're getting lots of applications from students who are enrolling in multiple colleges. So Enrollment Services is just going to, check to make sure that we don't enroll them in more than 2 courses within our district. But that's another reason where we have to make sure that we're adding ARC as a college. That's what we're seeing is we get a lot of students who are also taking a class at Sac City. They did the CCC app and chose Sac City, and now they want to take a class at ARC because they see an open online class, but they have to add ARC as a college for us to be able to enroll them. Sometimes they're valid over at Sac City, but we can't enroll them in a course at ARC until they add us as a college. Okay, so the enrollment dates. We're currently accepting summer applications. Classes are filling up though, so we just really want students to double check and make sure the course they're requesting has some openings before they submit an application at this point. And ARC application, make sure that they're marking that they're an advanced ed student on the CCC apply application. So we're getting some cases also where students are selecting that they've graduated from high school and then they don't have that advanced ed hold, which means they can enroll by themselves, but it also means that they're responsible for tuition. So we want to make sure the high school students get marked as advanced ed. So make sure they put that they're still currently in high school. June 1st is when we'll start accepting the fall applications. Deadlines, so the deadline for summer classes will be Wednesday, June 3rd. I believe the summer semester starts the following Monday, so that's kind of our cutoff to give us time to process any last applications that come in on Wednesday. And then the deadline for fall will be the Wednesday, August 19th, which is the Wednesday before the Saturday semester starts. And again, once the semester begins, we only accept applications for late start classes. All right, so I haven't been looking at the chat at all, but questions? Anyone have any questions Or do we want to read some of the questions from the chat out loud?
And I have one of the questions that keeps reoccurring, and it's, could you give some information about students declaring a major while they're still in high school that's going to be an advanced ed student?
Yeah, that's just part of our application process. So for all select undecided, they just have to select something. But unfortunately, yeah, they have to select a major just to clear the hold so that we can enroll them, or they can enroll in classes.
There's a question in the chat room, Debbie, Raina, that says, I took a class at Sac City College. Do I need to have a new account to log in and apply for ARC?
I mean, that's happening more and more with online classes, and students are welcome to take classes at any of the colleges in our district. All they need to do is go to their e-services account and activate the colleges that they want to attend. So they would go to e-services and then choose manage classes. And there they'll see add a college and add the college, and then they would be able to enroll at that college also.
So you don't have to do another CCC application. Once you've done it for Los Rios, you're good. You just have to go on e-services and add ARC as a college you'd like to enroll in.
Raina, someone asked if you could move the slide back one to re-show the deadlines. Thank you.
Thank you. So it's Maricela, I have a question. So you just shared that if a student has enrolled in a campus, they can add another one. Is that what about if a student applied in fall of last year and they wanted, or last summer, and they want to do it this summer? Do they have to do the application again for the summer, or do they just go to the e-services and select ARC?
So if they've taken more than one semester off, they need to do a new application as a returning user. But if they took a course in spring semester at Sac City and now want to come to ARC for fall, they need to do their supplemental application for Sac City and then add ARC as a college, if that makes sense.
So this is Maricela again. I'm just asking these questions because I had these questions before. When they have the fees, it says that the tuition fees is there, but I know that there's student fees that students have to pay. We had to pay them again this summer, right?
Right. So depending on the number of units the student enrolls in, they'll see a UTP fee there. So that's not tuition. It's going to be somewhere like $7 or $11 for that fee. But tuition would be, they'll see hundreds of dollars of tuition, and that's a mistake if they're seeing hundreds of dollars.
And just a clarification, folks, the UTP is the Universal Transit Pass, and so that typically would be used to take the bus or the light rails to different community colleges in Sacramento. You can also use it to really go anywhere with a public transportation. That's kind of an unlimited 24-hour, 7 days a week bus light rail pass.
And what was I going to say? Oh, one of the other things I was going to mention on a previous slide, where students can enroll in a maximum of 2 courses. I don't know if I put this somewhere previous on the slide, but the new application does indicate that students, that support courses, lab courses are not counted in that 2 course per semester. So if they're taking anthropology 300 and anthropology 301, the lab, the 301 lab is not counted as one of the courses. It used to be, but not anymore. So 2 courses excluding labs and support classes.
Jerry and Debbie, were there any other questions from the chat box we want to bring to the larger group?
There's a question, how do I know which classes credit can translate to UC and other colleges? So on search class schedule, when they'll see they'll see the class name, the prerequisite, and also if that class is transferable into either UC or CSU.
Yep. And another thing we could use, if you email us, we can email you a copy of what we use for all of our students, which is our general education transfer pattern. So we have one for CSUs, and then we have one called the IGETC, the intersegmental general education transfer curriculum for UCs, and it works for CSUs also. But we can send you those patterns, and that way you can know if you're choosing a course from that pattern, it definitely transfers to a CSU or a UC. They're also available on our website.
Another quick question came in is, can a class be canceled if there's not enough students signed up for the class? Oh.
Yeah, yes,
Okay.
that could happen. I'm not sure what the percentage is, but that has happened before.
I'll add to that. Right now, summer enrollment is much higher than it has been in the past. And so I wouldn't anticipate us having low enrollment in courses now. I think it's the opposite. If you are planning on taking summer or fall classes, be very proactive and get your paperwork in quickly and register for your class very quickly as well.
There's a question about actually enrolling in a class, and I think it's about course code numbers and where they might be able to find a course code number. I think the question states that at this time we were told you need the selection code, but I don't see it now. So I think they're referring to the course code number.
Yes, the section number. Is it okay if I stop this share and then I can go to the class schedule and share that? Do you think that would work?
Sure, great. There's also a question, and I'll be able to answer this. In order to complete an ARC application online, there's a box for a social security number. Is this required for high school students? Yes, it is. You wouldn't be able to move past past that page on the application unless you click the box and put in a social security number, or click a box saying that you don't have a social security number.
Jerry, Debbie, Raina, there was also a question around if advanced ed students should do the FAFSA or California DREAM Act application. I'll add that to it as well.
No. Advanced ed students aren't eligible for FAFSA or DREAM Act, and their tuition is waived. So those would be the fees that the FAFSA would. So no students. Advanced ed students aren't eligible.
One other point of clarification, I saw it in the chat box around the UTP fee for the summer. Yes, we are 100% online this summer. However, the UTP fee is a pre-negotiated fee. And so that is still being charged for the summer. Students still will get mailed their pass to use for the bus or the light rail, but it is being charged for the summer. We're not exactly sure what that would look like for the fall. For those who haven't seen yet, most of our classes will be online in the fall as well.
Okay, is my screen sharing the schedule?
Yes.
Yes, okay. So from the class schedule, you would put in your subject that you're searching for. And here are the courses. Here is what would be the section number for the course that you would want. So it's always a 5-digit number. So each course has that 5-digit identification number. So on the application, we need to know, the student wants accounting 101, and this would be the section number. So /10483. And again, you can see, you can also search by GE requirements. So if you wanted a CSU requirement, like something from the arts and humanities, you can select area C1, which is the arts area on the CSU general ed pattern, and then search. And it will give me, it's going to be a ton of classes. Oh, actually, no, it's only 30 classes. So it's going to show me all the area C arts courses, and that way I can kind of scroll through and see which ones might still be open for my advanced ed student. like Music 300, we still have openings, so they would want to maybe select this section and turn in the application for the course. And this would meet area C1 for a CSU transfer. And then like Debbie was saying, another way to check if a course is transferable, when you click on that little I for information, you can see here if the course is transferable to a UC or CSU and what area it would meet for general education.